You know what's really popular nowadays? These geometric shapes, right? Who hasn't used one of these geometric circle things? We should get Canva in here. They're the real game changers, I'll tell you what. Okay, you guys. Well, welcome. I'm super stoked to be talking today about Suna, where we aim to change the game with content creation using our platform over the web. But before we get started with all of that, I'd like to introduce myself. I didn't think this out. There's a lot of me up here. But yeah, no, I am the post-production manager at Suna. I've been a content creator for 10 years now. I've done everything from video to photo, filmmaking, editing, and really everything in between. And I think that's kind of why I got into post-production in the first place, is because I really like to see the full process come together. You know, you produce it, you plan it, you know, you take the images, you take the videos, whatever, and then you put it together and you really get to see the ideas that were up in your head become a reality. And that's kind of the thesis that I've carried over in my career. I've always had to have some kind of element of that when producing content, this idea of telling stories and, you know, getting the voice out to matters that matter to me. And that's where I've kind of based all of my creative content on. You know, not everything needs that level of commitment, you know, especially if you're just doing like a simple product on white or something like that. But it's important to have that idea in your head. I'm going to keep this up here a little bit longer just so I can introduce how I found Suna. Because with all this experience, it was around 2020 that I realized that I should probably be doing something a bit more long-term with my career to combine that skill set, put everything together, something I can really kind of clamp down on and call my own. And it was around, you know, later in 2020 when COVID happened, things shut down, and my work basically dried up. I had a lot of projects going on, and they, for all intents and purposes, were just basically mothballed. There was not a lot of work for me. And I always saw myself as that content creator, right? Like, you know, you spend a long enough period of time doing something, and then that's taken away from you, and you're like, well, sheesh, like, I guess I gotta, you know, get my bagging skills down or something like that. But it was around this time that, you know, there's a silver lining, right? I could start exploring that idea. And so I was looking at projects. There weren't a lot. I mean, it was COVID. And I started thinking about my own projects too. But then a friend came to me and they were like, hey, have you heard of this new company called Suna? They're looking for a post-production coordinator. And, you know, so I checked it out. I checked out their website, and it was very, you know, social media, e-com, flat lay, and that's fine. That's all well and good. But, you know, I was like, sheesh, is that something I really want to do? You know, I like having a camera by my side. I like being involved with the editing process, very boots on the ground and hands-on kind of guy. But the more I started looking into what Suna was and their thesis and how they were planning on changing the game through fast casual content, affordability, basically bringing the production process to people, regular people, and not just the people who can afford it, it made me realize that this is exactly where I wanted to be. This is exactly the kind of project that I wanted to participate in. So let's talk about Suna. Suna is a fast casual, all-inclusive, creatively driven production company. We provide a quick and easy self-serve content creation platform that is affordable and accessible for everybody. And our motto, we use this all the time, is quality content for all. Now, when you start reading this through, there are a lot of hot button words, right? Like you have, you know, fast casual, creatively driven, you have affordable, and all-inclusive. And sometimes these words, you know, there's a reduction in quality there, right? Like affordable, there's a reduction in quality. Casual, reduction in quality. Fast, reduction in quality. But the main challenge at Suna, the reason we started this in the first place was because we didn't want there to be any reduction in quality. We wanted people to participate in the production process for quick and cheap and easy and reliable without sacrificing any of that quality. But of course, that comes with a very unique set of challenges as well. Now, in addition to all this, Suna is also the home of the virtual shoot and creates high-quality photo and video content from anywhere. This actually allowed us to thrive during the pandemic because we want this process to be accessible. We want this process to be accessible to anybody, anywhere. Right now we're in the United States. Obviously, we have hubs and we have studios in Seattle, Denver, Minneapolis, and Austin. And then we have our digital fulfillment studios as well that ingest a lot of the products that people send to us. And when I say we want this to be all-inclusive, we want people to join the shoot. We want people to be there and give us their opinions and ideas because ultimately we're dealing with their brands, not just ours. And so we invite people to join their shoots over their phone, tablet, laptop, whatever, because we welcome them to be there. They can even join in the studio if they want, if they're there. But in addition to this, we have at our digital fulfillment studios and a lot of our studios as well, we're able to collect the products from our clients and store them for future shoots or for future use. So let me just run you through the process really fast because it's quick and easy and I just want everyone to be kind of on the same page. So all you have to do, it's simple. Just create an account at soona.co, choose from our many product styles and options, then send the product to us, just as I mentioned. Once we receive your product, our creative staff will plan, design, and work with you in person or at home to create the content that you love. And I can attest, our photographers are phenomenally good. We chose them because they are very, very creative people. And we don't want to stifle that creativity. So we see a lot of products come through our doors, and every single product our photographers treat as their own. That's, maybe a little bit of hyperbole, but it's true. Like they really take the time to get a product and work with that so that the outcome, the image outcome is as unique as if you went to anywhere else. And once the photography process is done, you can instantly view your content and select from your favorite images or videos a la carte. We include professional edits with each purchased asset, and you can also select from any one of our add-ons and customize your content. And photos start at only $39 and our videos start at $93. I haven't been anywhere else where the price is that low. And if this wasn't enough, we deliver your entire order within 24 hours. Now, I have to clarify, this is not 24 hours of when you send us the product, but 24 hours of when you check out with your images. And you can go through this entire process for just $39. Let me reiterate that. You can ship us your product. We will work with you. We'll shoot it. You can be there. And there's a chance that you could only pay $39 for that. Let's say you go a route where you're kind of unsure, you're on the fence, you don't know if you want to use us or not. And that's because at Suna, you only book what you need and you buy what you love. We've incorporated the cost into everything so that what you're paying for is what you check out with, not the production process itself. And it's been a big game changer for some people. And we know that every product is unique, so we're not just doing, the simple flat lay photography or white e-com, but we're really running the gamut. We do e-com, lifestyle, headshots, gifts, seasonal, pro photos, flat lays, stop motions. Basically, whatever your product needs, we will work to achieve. I'm sorry, this is a PDF, but those were supposed to be animated. It doesn't really make much sense down there, does it? But I put together this slide because I wanted to showcase the kind of diversity that we have in our shoots. Now get this, I pulled all of these images from the past week alone. Now this is just to clarify, is not all the shoots that we did, but I just randomly selected some images and pulled them. Over the past 2 years, we've seen a ridiculous amount of different kinds of products come through, and we've been able to do all of them so far. From something as small, let's see here, as whatever that is, to like a basketball hoop. Actually, don't know what that is. But I'm going to pause here for a second because I want to offer you guys one last anecdote about myself. I mentioned that this production process is, I have my own creative method. I want everything to be story-driven, But this is a bit more personal to me because, I grew up an hour outside of Denver, Colorado, in a small town called Evergreen. My parents raised us there. They actually grew up here in New York City. They met here, and they wanted to raise their kids a little bit more quiet, but they're very, very creative people. And, my mom, she would always give us creative tasks around the house. She was a stay-at-home mom, so she was very involved with us. And she thought it would, she came up with a great idea one day to open her own gift basket business. And it was lovely. She created really, really good art out of that. She had a few dedicated clients. She was kind of getting her feet off the ground, but there was a problem here. And that was that she had no way to really accurately market herself. And this is when I was growing up. So this is back in like 2005, 2006-ish. And all of her clients said that, you need professional images. You need photographs because what you're doing is beautiful. You don't want to just, put yourself in a hole where, people are just subjected to pulling the paper tab off the bulletin board, right? Or putting an ad out in the paper that's like this big. But the thing is, at the time, she was basically breaking even, okay? She was basically in a position where she couldn't afford a photographer to come by. It was expensive, So she scrapped for like a year for somebody to eventually come and do her photographs. And $1,300 later, she walked away with 7 images. They were good. But this is no surprise, right? The production process is expensive. You have your producing, your planning, your photographing, your editing. You have the time it takes to do all of that. You have the notes that people have for the content that you're producing, and this is just a watered down version of it. There's so many more steps to this. I wrote here, there is a process for every step, and every step has a cost, and that's true with the production industry. No one's trying to pull the rug out from underneath you or trying to scam you, at least not with the companies I've worked for. It's just that this is the way business is done, and it's costly. Let me give you an interesting number. Today, the average cost of 30 images is around $11,000, depending on the production studio that you go with, and we're talking boutique, production studios. At Suna, we can do it for $1,100. We've been able to find the costs in between all the steps, consolidate everything, and come up with the costs that best work for you. Now, the way we do this is somewhat of a secret sauce. I'm actually not totally sure, how we find those exact margins. I can safely say that, the margin for standard images is not that high. If you really want to make a cost, you have people invest into the options that come with this service as well. And all of those are affordable too. So you're not just paying $39 and then, oh yeah, here's a $500 fee. It's usually like $9. Oops. There we go. But obviously, when you're trying to flip the script on an establishment that has been there forever and the costs are pretty defined, there's a sliding scale to some things, there are going to be issues with that. If you're trying to create something new, you're going to have new problems. Now, I'm the post-production manager, so I can only really speak to the issues that we've been having in post-production, but I can guarantee that every aspect of our company has had to deal with the exact same thing, just in different ways, from tech to the photographers and everybody else in between. Right, okay, so this one is one that we've tossed around a bunch today, okay? Growing too quickly in scaling our services. Now, one unique thing that we do at Suna is that we guarantee the turnarounds of the edits. When somebody checks out with their order, we guarantee a 24-hour turnaround. Not only that, we provide bespoke style edits. And as you saw from that slide I had up earlier, everything is unique. And there's all different kinds of variables in the editing process that you have to go through. So this was a big one. When I first started at Suna, I was emailing freelancers and contractors individually when there was a project that needed to be done. Hey, we have 30 photos. Hey, we have a pro video spot. Can you do this? That just couldn't be done today. We've grown too quickly. And in fact, when I started, it was only about 2 months where we were like, all right, we're outgrowing these shoes. So we started putting together small teams of people, mostly freelancers, mostly contractors. But what we started doing was diversifying the editing pool, because there are busy days and there are slow days, and you need people to be able to expand and contract with the volume that you have coming through your doors. So I found a solution to be in a contractor pool. And then also having a couple of full-time Suna employed editors as well to act as the core. And that worked well. But eventually we started, I was talking to a few people how we get edits at 1 a.m., 100 images at 1 a.m. Well, they're due 1 a.m. the next day, so you have to do 100 images in between, those two times, so you have to do it within that working day. And we were like, geez, there was never a time where we failed. Our success rate on the 24-hour turnaround is around 99.2%, so we've been able to pull it off so far. But we realized that if we have a 24-hour service, we need to have 24-hour editors. The best way to do that is go global. And I know a lot of post-production services have teams internationally. It's a good solution to these kinds of things because you have variable working hours. And it was an excellent solution for us. But it wasn't just them. We have our contractors, we have our freelancers, we're growing our internal core pool of editors. We have this global team of editors, But there was a problem with that was involved with that. And that was the second issue that I wanted to go over. And that was aesthetic diversity within the editing pool and keeping our brand consistent. Am I good on time? Oh, sorry. Cool. Yeah, and this was tough because aesthetic diversity, you need your brand to be consistent. And although we have a large variety in the kind of edits that we provide, Suna still has its very particular look. Let me ask you guys something. Have you seen this image before? Anybody? Yeah? I went to school, high school, with a very talented young woman. Her name was Esther, and I think she works at NPR now. This is her, and she came up with this brilliant test. Basically, she took a simple headshot of herself, and she sent it to 25 different countries, and she said, "Make me beautiful." And, clearly, the results came back very, very differently. Now, this is what I'm talking about. We choose editors. We have a robust training system. We have an editing test that we send out to all of our editors. But there's still going to be diversity depending on where people live, and that can be a problem with a global team. There was one guy that I was working with, and this kind of goes back to the roundtable discussion that we had before, where, he just wasn't cutting it. His white balance was off. It was kind of looking bluey. And eventually, it was like a month in, and I was like, if the white balance is off, you got to take a step back and ask yourself, is this guy right for the position? But then I looked at his portfolio, and where he was from, this was completely acceptable. In fact, it was on a lot of their billboards and advertising, and the color scheme that he was providing us was acceptable in his country. Now, we have to tackle this somehow. You can have robust training programs that get people close, but eventually it's always going to go deeper than that. It's going to boil down to ingrained practices within the editorial style. So a good solution to this, you guys, we found that by growing our core team of editors, basically ambassadors for our brand, we were able to disseminate information across global teams and have people kind of facilitate the discussion of what Suna's look and style is supposed to be. And this has worked really, really well. This basically solved the issue. In fact, out of all the re-edits that we got, so the clients provided notes, I think consistency issues accounted for 1% of that. So if you look at that across the total spectrum of edits we do, that's an extremely low number. But this took time. It took trial and error for us to figure out. And as a startup company, such as Suna, who hasn't been around for any more than 3 years, Series B startup company, you're always going to be figuring these things out. There's never a time where, it's a one and done. Things go much, much deeper. I didn't even realize that this was a problem until I started hiring international teams of editors. Now, the third issue and final one, glad we had the panel about this morning, this is the biggie, because we offer a 24-hour service. We provide fast, casual content, and it can't be fast if you're spending 2 to 3 hours on a single image, right? So managing client requests and just fixing it in post. This is a doozy, because if you have a service like ours who invites creativity and invites bespoke style editing, then you need to manage that in a way that is acceptable and can fit within the parameters, the 24-hour parameters that we have for delivery. Now, I wish I could claim credit for this, but this was actually a system that our COO and CEO came up with. It's brilliant. And it was to compartmentalize requests into a single menu. Okay? So customizing your images using our add-ons helps curtail excess communication and takes the guesswork out of editing, saving everybody time, and that's true. This has saved us a ton of time. They found that if you have a plethora of requests and you're not really sure what the request from a client is going to be, well, we took a bunch of those data points. By the way, data, big deal. We actually have kind of a joke that the management of our company actually just becomes data scientists. It's kind of what we had to do. But we took a bunch of data points and a bunch of requests that clients had, and we basically compartmentalized those requests into the most common requests that clients have, right? So changing background color, product touch-up, transparent background, smooth skin, by the raw, create pattern, and Photoshop it for all the miscellaneous requests. But we found that clients really like this option, and they'll choose from these because it's simple for them. It's way simpler than having to, do a back and forth between the person who's running ops on the project and the editing team. And, before I joined here, there was always a back and forth between the client and the editor and everyone else just to get the product right. And this has simplified that process. Same with video, pro video, audio, add text, crop the video. These are the most common requests that we get, and having the customer be able to choose these curtails that time. Now, like I said, if you're flipping the script, if you're coming up with something new, if you want to be a game changer within your industry, you need to expect that you're going to have road bumps along the way. But there's nothing that we haven't been able to solve so far, because if you put your head down and you start looking at something that's out of the box and solving situations in an out of the box kind of way, then you can make it work. And it's like we say at Suna, creativity makes the dream work. Thank you.
Great. Some questions for Hunter. Ryan.
Hey, Hunter. I've run a couple of content creation studios, and our biggest challenge with this kind of work was the art direction. When a client would come in and they would just say, make it edgy, or make it, whatever word. How do you go about handling that in a profitable way?
We're pretty upfront that, as much as we would like to say that, you can request anything, and we want to create your exact specifications for your brand, we do have to manage expectations up front, because like I said, with the service that we provide, there's a give and take. We want to give you the product that you have, but you need to realize that in order for us to pull this off, you need to fit a little bit into our system as well, and having giant requests that are kind of ethereal like that, don't really hold water too well. A good example of this is music and video. I don't know for my video editors out there, but it's a total pain if you have a client just be like, just choose this. What we would much rather prefer is have them come to us and, with some examples or with a brand that they currently have or like something on their website that at least helps us give us a lane to travel in when we're addressing those kinds of things.
So like with lifestyle images, you say what you want it in a bedroom, you want it in a bathroom, and then you kind of have a set that goes along with that, or do you have a few sets that they can choose from, like a white tile bathroom?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you asked because we have a wide range of sets. And it's pretty clear, where that should fit, and we'll give the client options. But if you're actually setting up your shoot, there is a shot list that you can come up with. And we really want to have our clients create that shot list because it does exactly what you're talking about. It really kind of gets people, into the lane that they're looking to travel in, and then we'll take it from there.
Awesome.
So you mentioned that the retouchers are they your quality assurance in some ways for these smaller brands? How do you make sure the client is getting what they want before you deliver it?
It's a good question. Well, for one thing, the simple editing practices go a very, very long way. What I mean by that is, we had this discussion earlier about choosing editors who know what they're doing. And one of the main issues that we see if we're not getting the brand right is usually there's something within the standard editing practice, like white balance or contrast, that goes a very, very long way, So you get the white balance right. It's a simple matter of getting that contrast right. And one thing that we do is we'll go to their websites, we'll do some research before we actually start editing the brand. We'll visit their social media, we'll visit their previous projects, visit their website, we'll pull images and have those as references so we make sure that we're getting that particular look right, because like some people prefer that washed out look. Some people prefer heavy contrast. And knowing where to go is as simple as just doing 2 minutes of research.
Nice.
Okay.
Great. Any final questions? Let's give a round of applause to Hunter. Thank you.